listening to, watching, hearing, smelling, tasting, and feeling sex, drugs, and skincare. Like and subscribe.
Yeah, do the me first, and then you can do the wife. Yeah.
That's good. It's life.
Yeah.
Like that, yeah.
You can actually put that in the whole fucking recording. Hi! Welcome back to Sex, Drugs, and Skincare. I'm Nikki Davis. I almost said Nikki Davis Miller, and that's not me.
It's not you.
Nope.
You're
That
Nikki
used to be
Davis
me.
Jr.
Nikki Davis Jr., that's
Mhm.
right, according to Tammy Jo Deeren.
Yeah, I like Nikki Davis Jr. so much because you're like, that sounds familiar, but why? And then it works on so many different levels.
Because it's like Sammy Davis Jr.,
Yeah.
but Nikki Davis Jr., babe.
Now I know why I like it.
Yeah.
I kept thinking Dean Martin for some reason.
No.
Yeah. I don't know.
We're laughing also because producer Alex is also laughing audibly. And that means it was really funny.
He's a Rat Pack fan.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know the Rat Pack, none of them were hoarders. Isn't that weird? But they were all Rat Pack, but none of them, they were anti-keeping stuff. They're not sentimental at all.
I think they collected women, actually.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you can't, but they let them go. It was a catch and release.
Yeah, that's true. Catch and release
Yeah.
program.
Unless
yeah.
they got married.
Huh? Unless they got married. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of catch and release, I've been watching that show, My Cat from Hell.
Oh, yeah.
I can't stop watching it. I don't know. Are you into cats?
I love. Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
And obviously we're so
Yeah.
into
I love
cats.
cats.
But yeah, I've just been binge watching that for like the last 2 weeks before my HBO subscription.
It's just
runs
amazing
out.
that he like has an idea of what the cat is. He tests the boundaries, and then it's like completely big behavioral changes like immediately, or like when he comes back within like 2 weeks or whatever. They keep,
Yeah, he gives him a little homework.
Yeah.
He gives homework to the cat.
No, to the owners of the cat, the
Yeah.
guardians.
So he's basically training the owners, really.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
training the
Yeah.
owners how to deal with the cats because but so it's
Or how to
it's-
serve the cat.
how to
Yeah,
ser-
because people don't know how to
yes.
read cats.
That's
That's
true.
for
right.
the most part. And so, yeah, and most people will just, like they'll go for a cat like with their hand right at their face. And you're like, no, you can't you have to go from the back, or, you
Mhm.
make the little kitty eyes, or this is not about skincare or anything that we're going to talk about.
But it makes you smile.
It does. It's
which
cats.
which gives you lines on your face, which is skincare.
Yes.
Which also those lines, I think the laugh lines are,
Those
it
are
shows
okay.
character. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Mhm.
It means that
We talked
person's-
about that last week too.
Yeah. Well, oh, sorry.
Well, I'm just saying, like, I'm
Jeez.
just bringing it back around, like it's a callback.
Well, that's what I was bringing back around, but then you got annoyed at my bringing. Oh, that's right.
I wasn't even annoyed.
I was.
Weirdo. Your skin looks good.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I used the Kindry stuff when I got out of the shower.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I used Kindry stuff today.
I did too, actually. Yeah,
I
and we're
just
not.
had
Robin.
one.
Yeah, and
Rob
she's
McDonald.
not even
Yeah,
paying us.
Alex,
or
can you
anything.
No,
we just
no.
love her
bleep out
stuff.
Robin and McDonald because she doesn't sponsor the show. I mean, she's a nice person, and the Kindry stuff's fantastic.
Yeah.
I would recommend it to anybody who wanted to, especially guys. But bleep all that stuff out.
She
I
has
just
a
said.
whole.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she has a whole line for guys now, right?
Oh,
Doesn't
really?
She have
Yes?
like a
I didn't
whole-
know.
I believe that's true. I hope that's true. If
Well, if
not,
it-
then she's going to.
Well, yeah.
She's designing stuff
Oh,
that's
okay.
specifically for men.
So go on her website.
I'll still
and
use
check
the
it out.
avocado smoothie.
It's so good.
Ooh.
And then
I like the orange. one.
orange was that orange creamsicle or something like
That's
that?
what I
Like that.
have.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Today
I
I'm
love it.
wearing the
Oh,
orange
yeah.
nice.
creamsicle.
Very citrusy.
Well, we don't want to go too long because
I'm excited for our guest.
Our guest was here a few weeks ago. She was talking to us at that time. We were talking about trauma in the body, and she's a yoga instructor, and she's an actor, and she's a comedian, and she's a fucking awesome person. So today,
Mhm.
should I announce what we talk about now or later?
It's a good candy, but I don't know.
All right, today we're going to cover Candida. This is the Candida episode.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
And my mouth started watering when the guest brought it up, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm all about it," because my whole life is like running from Candida.
hmm
So, are you excited?
I'm very excited.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Let's bring her. Come into the couch right now. Do you feel like you got enough talking in?
Did you want to talk
Now
some
I
more?
did.
Yeah,
Okay,
now
yeah,
yeah.
now
Okay,
we
good.
did. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
good. All right, all right.
Yeah.
Come into the couch, Sue Gisser. Yay! How are you?
I am terrific. I'm hanging in there. I'm good.
Welcome to Sue Gisser,
All
you
these
guys.
things are true.
Yeah.
Literally moment by moment by
Oh
moment.
my God. You are like a television that just the channels just keep changing, but they're all sort of like similarly themed.
But you want to watch every channel.
Yeah, but you wanna
You're like,
watch
no, wait,
all
wait,
of
I
them,
would-
yeah.
And then you're like, oh, this is, yeah.
That's like the best description of me.
Oh,
anyways.
good. You look like you were about to cry, and I was like,
I am.
Oh,
I
in a
feel
bad way, though.
seen. I
Oh,
really
okay,
feel
good. Yeah, you
seen.
are seen.
I feel like it's also like a little bit like the old TVs with like the static.
Yes.
Sometimes
Yeah,
every
in
once in a
between.
while, like my brain just sort of flatlines. It's like, what happened?
Totally. Oh my God, that's perfect.
It's just the frequency, just finding its,
Mhm.
frequency.
Finding its frequency,
Finding its
yeah.
There you
frequency.
go.
Somewhere.
I like
Yeah.
it.
Somewhere out there. Yeah.
So, yeah. So I'm super excited to talk about Candida. Normally I just I let people blab on, but we have so much stuff and you're funny anyways. And, yeah, so I'm just excited to, first of all, Sue, by the way, will be moving up and down. I don't know which camera I'm looking at, but she's had an injury to, which one? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
She's had an injury to her tailbone. So,
No, all around my tailbone.
around
Okay,
your
so
tailbone. Oh,
Short version.
okay.
Short version.
Short version.
So yeah, so that's the I'm kind of hanging in there part. So like I was hiking in Runyon and like I was super careful like all the way down, except for like, you get to like that, like there's like a little plateau thing with an overlook and then you go like the rest of the way down.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But it's like nothing. And so you're like, because I scaled this whole thing. So I'm just walking. I was still being careful. I don't know. I slid. And so I slid and I like kind of slid down on the back of my thighs
Uh-huh.
and then sort of clocked out for a second.
Oh,
Yeah.
you hit your head?
No.
Oh.
See, everybody
You
keeps
just-
asking me that. I'm like, I don't think I hit my head. I didn't hit my
But
head.
maybe just from the pain?
No, yeah, like my body was like, okay, we had impacts, so we're going to start to disassociate now because that's
Oh.
my body's favorite defense mechanism right now. That's part of why I'm so into like all of these chemicals and stuff.
Brain chemicals.
Brain chemicals, the chemicals. I'm like, where am I looking?
Not
The
the, not,
chemicals
not the
Chemical
drugs, not
brothers.
illicit
that your,
chemicals. Yeah,
that your
yeah,
body makes.
yeah.
Because that's been like this really intense response. And so that was what was starting to happen. Like my body was starting to like kind of, okay, we don't need to be fully present because there's going to be a lot of pain here. Except the fall hadn't actually finished. And so like
Oh,
next thing I know, I'm
God.
like in the air and then I slammed down on my sacrum,
Oh.
which is above your tailbone. It's like if you put your hand in, it's like that flat part.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It hurts so bad.
Oh my
It
God.
hurts so bad. But I didn't hit my tail, which is great because many, many, many years ago, I fractured my tailbone
Yeah.
in a similar event. But I mean, like, which is insane.
Maybe you need to practice walking down
No,
at the
well, I
end
was
of the trails.
rollerblading. I
Oh,
was-
okay. Oh, got
So
it.
I
Yeah.
was, and this is actually, I think it's a decent segue into what we're talking about.
Okay. Make it happen.
I'm going to make
Okay.
it happen.
I'm so excited.
Can she do it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So, I was living down the Jersey Shore with my boyfriend, and I was just learning how to rollerblade.
Mm.
And so my method of stopping was like to kind of slow down
Mm.
and find a car. And like kind of use the car to stop myself. But that was perfect for me. That was, I wasn't going too fast. I was like, this is good. I can do that. And he was on his bicycle alongside with me. And we're going down 10th Avenue and it dead ends into Ocean Avenue. So it's like a T. For those of you watching at home, the Ocean Avenue runs parallel to the ocean. And then the street that we're on is like gonna T-bone the thing.
Yeah.
And I'm fine. I'm like rollerblading. And all of a sudden he's like, hey, you don't know how to stop, do you? And I'm like, no, I don't. And so my whole body stiffens. I'm like a freaking cartoon. My legs fly out from underneath me and I land on my
Oh.
tailbone
Ow.
and fractured it. Which is like your body going, that's like freeze response on crack, right? Like that's exactly what that is. That's
When he said that to you, then you just
that was my
froze.
response.
Yeah.
I froze.
That's like
As-
the Wile E. Coyote when he realizes he's in midair.
Yes!
He only falls when he's like, oh,
Yeah,
wait.
yeah, yeah.
That was literally me. And so like when I had a sort of similar experience, and this is many years later, but last week with this thing, I was like, part of my response was, okay, well, like I weirdly wasn't freaking out because I'm like, well, I've healed from something similar. So I'm like, it's going to be long and it's going to suck, but it's going to be like an opportunity to reconnect with my conversation with my body. I don't know. I'm going to find a silver lining in there because that's what I do.
Yeah.
But while I was in that, like, once I hit again, my hearing kind of went out for a second, or more than a second. It was like couple minutes.
Oh,
And like, where you could kind of like, I had my earbuds out, but it sounded like,
were you like in shock maybe?
that's what I'm saying. So like, that's my
Mm.
body starting to
right,
like,
right. Okay, yeah.
"Shh, it's okay. We're just going to be right here now."
Yeah.
And my vision started like it was like a white frame around everything. And it was kind of closing in.
Uh-oh.
And the couple of times I've passed out in my life, it's been white. So I'm like, okay, so this is what's happening. But here's the crazy thing is like, and I understand that this does sound just slightly crazy, but to me, it's also sort of magical. I'm like in the midst of this and I'm going, okay, what's happening is I'm like, I checked in, I'm like, things move. I'm okay. I need to sit here for a minute. And I went to like stand up and it was like, I was nauseous. The white light was getting brighter and there were like spots. The sound was going out even more. And I was like, okay, so like that's your body's trying to pass you out.
Oh.
Right? Because the pain is so bad. And so like, okay, so when you have a predator coming at you, right? Like when things are really bad,
Yeah.
you have like, fight, flight, freeze, fawn, dorsal vagal shutdown.
Yeah.
My nemesis. So like if you think that you can fight it, then, then
You
that's
get, like adrenaline maybe.
yeah,
that
you get like
comes,
more
or-
adrenaline. If you're think that you can outrun it, it's it's adrenaline response. Freeze response is like I can't do either.
Yeah.
But if I'm really quiet, then maybe it will pass me by.
Right.
Mm.
Like playing dead.
You play
Yeah,
dead. And so like we hold our breath, and so
Oh,
that
right.
creates a whole bunch of responses in the body. Fawn, if I'm nice to it, if I nice
Mhm.
monster, good monster, pretty monster,
Mhm.
then the monster won't kill me.
Right.
Or dorsal vagal shutdown, where like it's part of so like you have your sympathetic nervous system, which is fight or flight, and you have your parasympathetic nervous system, which is overly simplified, rest or digest.
Okay.
But it has other functions, and one of them that I think is sort of beautiful is like all of those, like the fight, flight, freeze, fawn thing
Mhm.
is if like there's some negotiating possible here, right? It's not there's a gun to your nose. This isn't like that moment. But when you're in that moment, when your body's like, and we're either going to survive this or we are not. And this is that moment. It does this really beautiful thing, which it helps you to disassociate. And it's like we don't need to be present for the ripping apart of our limbs.
Oh, interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
We don't need to be here for that, because if we live, then the threat will go away. And then we can come back and deal with the healing of this, right? Without having to everything be in relation to this predator thing.
Right.
Right. Not all of my choices are about just this one thing that's staring me down. I have other options because I survived that. So then I can start to build new connections in that way. Or I die, and then I don't need to be present for this because it won't matter.
Right.
Right. Which I think is isn't that a beautiful thing?
Yeah.
Like,
It also is very
Mhm.
comforting. And if I get attacked by a
Yeah.
bear, I don't have to worry about feeling every little last tear with his teeth, because my body will just say, "You're out of here."
Yeah, it also made me think like Hollywood's been lying to us. How many people have we been seen eaten alive or arms ripped off and they're going, ow, as opposed to just,
yeah.
I
In
mean,
movies.
it's movies like that kind of
well, I
thing,
mean,
but
like, I think it probably does still, like,
you still feel some of it.
yeah, but it's like you're there, but you're not there.
Okay.
Mhm.
Like, you ever party too hard? You drink too much or whatever, and you
Only
have the
every day.
spins.
Oh yeah.
And you're
Only-
like,
yeah.
and you're like, okay, and so you're kind of like, you're disassociated a little bit. It's kind of a good example. Like, you're kind of like, you're there, but you're not there. Things are bad. You're hitting, like, you're stumbling into shit, and you're like, that's going to hurt tomorrow, so you're there and you're feeling all the things, but you're not necessarily feeling them in the way that you're not fully present.
Right.
Right? Like, that's,
Total-
it's
okay.
this sort of like fogged out version of it. Static. Fuck me. What was I saying? The dorsal vagal shutdown.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Wait, this relates to Candida?
totally.
Oh my god. Okay.
Wow.
Yes, and also to the ketamine thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm looping.
Okay. Got it.
The last time we talked a teensy.
A little bit
I
about
made promises
ketamine,
about
yeah.
ketamine. Ketamine therapy and
Yeah.
like why it's
Dorsal
vagal
shutdown.
So so like it's either it takes you out a little bit.
Okay.
And so, like, as all this stuff is happening and I'm in pain, but like weirdly like there but not there, it's sort of echoey.
Mhm.
And like the sound is going out and the lights are kind of going out. And I'm like, oh, but what just happened is I went from this protected shape that my body was trying to make
Mhm.
and opened myself up, exposing all of my soft bits before it felt ready. And so like my vagus nerve went, no.
Oh.
And when your vagus nerve is stimulated, then so your vagus nerve is the largest cranial nerve, and it goes from like your brain into like it connects to your eyes. So like when you get it can create like kind of a strobe response. So like it can be associated with seizures. It goes down into your throat. So like pregnant women,
Uh-huh.
there's pressure on the vagus nerve. Sometimes they get like this clacky thing
Oh,
in
interesting.
their throat. That was like I was like that was a fun. I taught prenatal water yoga classes for
Oh yeah.
like group classes for like 6 years, just the prenatal ones, and there's like all of this like vagus nerve stuff that happens because the bump is putting pressure. Morning sickness can sometimes be
Yeah.
associated with that. And
Oh,
so in the
wow.
same way, because the vagus nerve goes through, it's associated with your tongue and your throat. It helps to regulate heart rate because it's part of your that like I'm safe part of the nervous system or
Mhm.
not safe part of the nervous system. So it's going to help to regulate, like, do we need to pump faster
Yeah.
and run, or do we
Yeah.
need to stay? Can we rest? So if you get heart palpitations, that can be when your vagus nerve is like being stepped on. So like any of the nerves, it's like if you have a light wire, like a wire that the light plugs into the wall. So articulate and just not. Static. So if you step on the wire, then the light kind of flickers,
Right.
right? And so like it's just like that, right? With the eyes, with the strobe thing.
Oh right.
Right, all of that. It's the clacky thing with this
Mhm.
thing. You can create, like, you can get acid reflux from that. It's associated with things like MS and Parkinson's. It's that same that it causes tremor. It goes into your digestive tract and into your digestive organs. It's connected to liver and like if you get scared and you pee a little bit, that's your vagus nerve.
Oh
Right.
wow.
So it's this whole big gangly thing. And I was like, oh, that's totally what's happening to me right now. And so I felt this like crazy moment where I was like, if I didn't know that piece of information, I would be freaking the fuck out right now because the lights are going out and the sound is going out and I'm so nauseous and like, like that whole, and I'm like, and I'm starting to sweat. I'm like, oh man, come on. But I was like, oh, but it's because my body is trying to keep me in this place. So I don't need to freak out about any of that.
Yeah.
So that took my cortisol levels way down.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Right. And weirdly, I'm like, and because I'm making connections, I'm still thinking kind of clearly. Appropriate or not, who the fuck knows? But
Yeah.
like I'm still thinking kind of clearly. So I'm like, okay, so then good for me, a little bit of dopamine.
Yeah.
Making connections. So that's oxytocin, which also lowers that cortisol
Mm.
rate.
Mhm.
So like all of that was helping my body feel safer and safer. And so like the longer I stayed with it and kind of like just kept checking in and talking, it just kind of like all the extra stuff dissipated. And I was left with just like what's actually happening
Gotcha. Without
because
adding
of-
to it and making
without
it worse.
adding to it and making it worse.
Okay.
I'm so convinced that if I didn't know that, I would have been passed out in freaking Runyon Canyon.
Yeah. Who knows?
Like with
how bad it
dogs
would've been.
running over
oh my
me.
God.
Dogs running.
They are off leash there, so
They
will
are.
be running over
There
you.
was a rescue dog, and this woman, and she like walked me down the hill. Her rescue dog like super loved me. She's
Aw.
like, "Oh, he does. This is what he does." I'm
That's
like,
so nice.
he knew. Isn't
Yeah.
that
Yeah. Of
amazing?
course he knew.
And his name, or maybe it was a her, was Sua.
Oh, whoa.
My name is Sue.
Hmm.
And Sua, oh, it means something amazing. Oh no, I don't
That's
remember.
how my people, my family in Boston says sewer.
Yeah. The Sua.
Sewer. Yeah.
Oh,
I
it's
mean-
the Sua.
Yeah. The Sua.
I'm not saying it's the same, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
a shitty joke.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's a
I love it.
shitty
I love
joke.
it.
Nice. That's garbage.
It is, you son of a gun.
Yeah.
So like just, fun and interesting thing.
Yeah.
And so like the little plugs. So the ketamine, what ketamine therapy does.
Okay.
Do you want to add that in here or is it too convoluted? We want to stay in the.
Let's try to get to Candida first.
Let's get to
I
the
think.
Candida first, then
Yeah.
we'll come
so if somebody's tuning in for Candida, then they'll know.
You always save ketamine for last.
Yeah, you always say ketamine for last.
It's the last thing you do every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the things that can spark Candida. So Candida is yeast. It's one of many, many, many. There's all these different forms. I think there's like 200 just Candida forms.
Oh wow.
And they're natural flora, which live in the gut, and they're supposed to be there.
Mhm.
I love that they're called flora because flora means to bloom.
Mm. Oh, nice. Yeah.
And that's what they do. They bloom. They're mold.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
It's fungus, right?
it's fungus. But they're in your gut for a reason. So like in the same way that same way they make beer, kids.
Oh, wow.
Like the yeast, the brewer's yeast, like breaks apart the bread or whatever,
Barley or whatever it
barley.
is. Yeah.
I don't know how to make beer.
Yeah.
Which is
Bread.
really-
Yeah, just a loaf of Wonder Bread in there. And some Candida. To get a can of Sue beer. Yeah.
It's a Super Bowl
beer.
platter.
Yeah, yeah.
So the yeast breaks down, the whatever it's breaking down,
Mhm.
and it off gases.
Mhm.
It farts out alcohol.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
And that's how you get beer. So when you're drinking beer,
You're drinking
you're
a yeast?
drinking yeast fart.
Oh my God.
wow.
But it gets you high. But so it's part of the system in your gut that breaks apart your food. Like that's what it does. It's actually like super helpful. It's part of the and so like we use it for a fermentation process,
Mm.
but that's essentially what's happening is like the food comes in and all the little flora, like the flora and the fauna, but no fauna.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
flora.
yeah, sure.
And your gut are like, oh, hey, what do we have here today? And they all go and do their little jobs. And the little candidas are like, oh, okay, we're going to strip away the sugars.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah.
Right. And which is great. And so that way your body can have things like energy. So when you have there's a couple of different conditions that can, and they haven't narrowed them all down, that can cause yeast to overgrow.
Right.
So like hormonal changes,
Right.
things like physical food, like what you've
Mhm.
eaten, stress, the wind blows the wrong way.
Like, antibiotics, though?
Antibiotics.
Yeah.
So antibiotics, well, think about what an antibiotic is. It goes in and it kills off a whole bunch of bacteria. And
Mhm.
medicines, they don't discriminate. They just, kill all the bacteria.
Right.
Not all the bacteria, but they go to town on the ones that they're programmed to go for. And there are bacteria that help to keep the population of the candidas in check. And so if you kill off it's like, out in the wild, if you kill off all the big predator animals and you start to have overgrowth of like the little animals, there's the fauna.
Oh, there you go.
Right? That was the fauna.
Yeah.
But then you have all this overgrowth happening, which is perception, like, because you could just call that balance.
Okay.
But because we are our larger animal and this causes us great discomfort, it's
not what we want.
it's not so ideal. So let's just say stress,
Okay.
because we're tying it back into the falling down thing. Crazy town. So so when you're stressed, your body, like, what we understand as stress is basically your body releasing a whole bunch of cortisol and adrenaline.
Okay.
And so like that feels like energy, and our system being like somebody running around and turning off, like somebody's coming, so they turn off put down the shutters and turn off all the outside lights. Nobody move. Like there are processes we don't need. Like we're not going to need food right now. I don't know. So we unplug the refrigerator. We want to channel that energy into defending against, I'm making shit up, against whatever's like coming.
Yeah.
So it's this change of feeling in the body, right? It's a big like shift that if we're not making that connection about like what's happening, it feels like it's sea change. It feels very jarring. It kind of gives you like emotional vertigo.
Okay.
Because it can happen really fast. And so
the Candida explosion, you mean?
No, the stress.
The stress.
Oh, okay,
stress. Okay,
Sorry. One thing at a time.
Yeah,
just the stress. I'm trying to do one thing at a time.
Yeah.
So like just the stress. So like the stress is cortisol and adrenaline,
Okay.
right? Adrenaline, everything's like going fast or like has the energy to go fast. And then the cortisol has like functions that it's turning on and off, so that you can best handle the threat as it sees it coming.
Right.
Yeah, it's trying to help you out. So in order to have like all that yummy adrenaline and that big like shift in energy, we need sugar, right? Like we need to burn off some
you
fuel.
keep grabbing your hips when you were talking about sugar.
I am. Like, this is my gut. This is where I live.
No, you went for your
Sugar.
hips. Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know, why am I doing that? This is where it lives.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm very self-conscious.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you self-conscious.
It's very funny. You're right, though. Like, this
I mean,
is that
actually,
area.
it is where it does.
It is where it's, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think where in my brain, this is where I store fat, right?
Okay.
Like
Same.
is, around the hips, like,
Oh,
and
okay.
that's, hips, tits,
Yeah. Yeah.
backs of the arms, like all those places.
Yeah.
Your left earlobe. Your body's like, okay, well, let's burn off some fuel, right? In the same way, like if it's cold and there's a storm and you have, a wood burning stove, you're going to go grab some wood and put it on the fire, right? To keep the fires burning so that you're not curled up in a ball, because we know what this does,
Yeah.
right? So the body's trying to produce all this energy.
Wait, just describe that for someone who's listening, what you just did. Curled up in a ball.
Curled up in a ball. I kind of contracted my my body like a Halloween cat.
Yeah.
Except I'm sitting,
And
then
that
sort
does-
of like it's conserves. It's going to conserve. It feels like it's conserving energy. It's protecting all the soft bits. So like it's triggering this feeling in the body that you're under attack, even
Okay.
if you're not. Like if you sit like this for you at home, if you kind of slump, like slouch, do what your mother told you not to do, and slouch. Everybody slouch with me.
Okay.
I've got my arms wrapped around myself, but actually for a second, like just kind of like let them sit there
Okay.
and just breathe there for a second.
It's
and
hard
notice
to
how
be.
quickly you start to feel shitty.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you don't get a full breath. What's happening is you're also kind of pinching. We talked about this a little bit the last time around the bottom of your thoracic spine, which is where your ribs are, which sends off a signal to your adrenal glands that something's coming, because that position protects your soft bits. So like if you had a predator coming at you, you would curl up like a pill bug so that the bony parts are on the outside and the
Oh.
tender bits on the inside. That gives you, if it's coming at you, that gives you some shelter. If you're like a boxer, this is kind of like a, right?
Yeah.
Not ideal. You want to keep your lats lifted a little.
Oh, yeah.
If you're, but like, but this kind of thing is it helps activate your trapezius. So you're in that, like, this is a good place. I don't know if it activates your trapezius, but your trapezius activates nicely there.
Okay.
Your trapezius is like I think of it like the punching muscle, right?
Okay.
So it goes from the top of your head to the tips of your shoulders to the middle of your back, and it creates the top part of that crunched up position.
Yeah.
Your psoas does the bottom part. So those
Okay.
are like the two
Oh,
muscles,
okay.
like Pac-Man.
Huh.
But so it sets off this whole hormonal response thing, which is asking your body for energy, right? And so the Candida go to work. They're like, okay, I'm here for you. No problem. And they start like, what am I doing? Like getting the sugars,
Like stripping the whatever's
stripping
in
the sugars,
water.
stripping the sugars.
Harvesting sugar.
Harvesting sugar.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
Okay, yeah.
good
Thank you.
word.
I'm good at Scrabble once a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. That's an impressive skill.
Yeah. Just once a year.
Yeah.
Just once a year. Well,
Annually.
at all.
Yeah,
At
yeah,
all.
yeah.
At all.
So harvesting.
Harvesting the sugar.
The sugar.
Yes,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
sugar.
Yeah.
So so your body's like harvesting the sugar. And so what happens is like, so you have, let's say you have a fight response, right? And so your body is channeling that energy right away into fighting, or you flee. That takes energy, right? Like these things. But if you have a freeze response or that dorsal vagal shutdown thing, that energy isn't going anywhere. It doesn't have any place to go. And so you have all this sugar. And so if you're somebody who's like, response to stress and trauma is to freeze,
Mhm.
right? Whatever your version of that is. So like if there's somebody who's in a position of power, your boss, your significant other, your parent, a friend, if you're an actor, like almost anybody,
Yeah.
where it serves you, where you're choosing, if you're a people pleaser, if you're choosing to not send that energy outward,
Mhm.
then that energy is still cooking inside of you, right?
Yeah.
And so one of the things that happens, we talked about this a little bit the last time, is that I call it the bite back, shove down response,
Uh-huh.
which is like you bite back all of the things you're going to say and you shove them down.
Oh, yes.
And so one of the things that does, and we talked about it, is it creates this tightening of your stomach.
Mhm.
Like your stomach gets sucked up into your esophagus, and then the food doesn't get fully digested.
Oh wow. Yeah.
And so you have like bad nutrient absorption, and that can be something that can cause Candida overgrowth.
Wow.
Right. So like, and then, but it also like you're in this position then because you're kind of like hunchy. And then we have that whole situation happening in your body where it's sending off this trigger. It's like re-triggering over and over again. And your body keeps like giving you sugar.
Yeah.
And so you're like in this like anxiety place. So like stress, right? That's stress. We're experiencing
yeah.
stress. And the Candida are like trying to be helpful, and they're like, well, it's like we have a party. We got all this beer and nobody's here. So we're just going to drink it, and that's what they do. So they start eating they're right. So they're getting fed, and then, they party and they're off gassing.
Yes.
Right.
It's the off gassing that fucks you
bloating.
up, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So you have all this bloating. And then, when you have a chronic situation, so like, and that's why I talk about like it's not just about, like a big threat. It can be like low level bullshit that you're dealing with. Can create this,
like a cycle.
yeah, it's like it's low level oh shit all the time.
Okay, yeah.
And your body, that was articulate, but you know what I mean, right?
I do exactly what you meant. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we live in 2024. All you have to do is, you don't even have to turn on the news. You can open up your phone. You don't even have to open up your phone. You get alerts on your phone, like all the time. So we're
Right.
in this constant state of like, and it's an election year.
Oh my God.
You know? So like, and that's why like, I think this is so important right now. Because everybody's levels are not just going up, but becoming more consistent because you're constantly in that state. So the Candida start to overrun the gut. And if you have like this situation with, the bite back, shove down thing, if you have like it's like there's different ways to say it, hiatal hernia.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That's basically the valve thing where it sucks up your stomach. So if you're getting like that,
Haitian.
is it
Haitian.
No.
no?
The hiatal hernia.
Oh, hiatal.
Yeah.
Sorry. What? That sounds too much like.
You need to stop
that
talking about
sounds-
this. Let's take a hiatal from what you were saying a second ago.
That was really good.
Yeah,
That's
thanks. Yeah, don't be so surprised.
I'm not. I'm impressed.
I'm just joking.
I can take a hiatal.
I was
love it.
surprised.
I love it.
I was like waiting. Anyways, go ahead. Keep
That's
going.
good.
Yeah.
But see, like when you're making connections like that, that to me says that on some level you're feeling safe and relaxed because your brain is able to make those connections. But when you're in a higher, like when you're not feeling safe, then you get that brain fog.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
So one of the, I see it. One of the big symptoms of Candida is this like crazy brain fog,
Yeah.
which is partially caused by the elevated cortisol thing, right? Because it's a big cycle. And it's like, and once you get on that train, it's like, like you're just on there forever. But the other thing that happens is it's called leaky gut, and there's damage being caused by the fungus or the bacteria or trauma or anything in the
Like in the intestinal walls?
in the intestinal walls and the gut lining. And so the Candida, or you have like the valve thing, or in whatever way, or they don't even have, so like, sorry, finish the thought, Sue. So they can start to leak out into your bloodstream and into your body.
Yeah.
And if they're just going out into like the body, then the body's like, this is what we were saying last time, there was the intruder.
Yeah.
Go get it. And then you get inflammation because all the protective cells are like, we got you, no problem. But the other thing that happens is the off-gassing is toxic. So you have all this toxicity that's leaking out into your bloodstream. Your bloodstream goes everywhere. And Candida are like, they are highly adaptable, so they can learn to like, there's like the Candida diet, which is basically like no fun.
Yeah.
Like
Just
eliminate
no fun.
fun.
Yeah.
That's it. So like, no sugar, no yummy carbs, no bad carbs either. No carbs.
No carbs.
Or low or super low or very specific, and doing like food combining or whatever, so that you're not so you're lowering your glycemic load so that you don't spike your sugars, because then the Candida are like fiesta.
Right.
Also like mold food. So like and like there's a whole philosophy about like and like, but there's the like, so like mushrooms, cheese.
Oh, okay.
Are also Candida friendly, but not in the kind of way you want food.
Right.
But there's some cheeses or some fermented dairy products that help to, it's all about the balance that actually work in your favor. And there are some mushrooms that, like, there's a new study, or maybe there's an old study about button mushrooms are supposed to be, they also have antifungal properties. So like,
how is that even a fungus has an antifungal property? That's crazy.
It does. But it's not. It's because it's not about the thing itself. It's about how your body reacts to it.
Oh,
which is true of everything.
Yeah.
just let this sit there.
Yeah.
Right? It's not what happens to you. It's the message that your body is getting
Mm-hmm.
and how your body interprets that message.
Right.
Right. So if somebody's passing you a note in like 5th grade English,
Yeah.
it can say like, if we have a secret language
Mhm.
and I pass a note to you, then that means something to you and you pass it to him. We don't have the same language. Maybe we even have a different language. Then that means something completely different to you. Our teacher picks it up and brings it over to Alex.
Yeah.
And Alex is like, this is a squiggly line. This means nothing. It like has no meaning whatsoever. So it's about the interpretive, right? It's the interpretive part that actually really super matters, and we have some influence over that in terms of like reprogramming
Okay.
if we're aware of what's happening.
Right.
Static. Seriously, best description we ever. It's totally my brain.
Did I say that on camera, by the way?
I think you did.
Okay,
yes.
good. So then they know what we're talking about.
I really hope
okay.
so.
All right, good. Yeah, okay, good. Alex says it's in.
It's in. Oh, say it again.
I said you are like Sue is the equivalent of just like a television, just changing channels constantly while you're watching her. But they're all in a similar vein. But then she was saying that there are there's static
like
sometimes
static,
in
like the
between.
old-
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes.
Like
They're
from the
just kinda
the manual TV, like a,
yeah, the old-fashioned ones with the rabbit ears.
yeah.
So what's happening with your Candida now? Oh, yeah. So, all right. So like you have a regular Candida diet, which can work very well where you like eliminate. Oh yeah, no alcohol,
No fruit, obviously.
no fruit.
Yeah.
A lot of like they say like it's plant forward, so you're gonna like kind of live in the land of more like dark green leafy vegetables are great because they also elevate like things that are high in iron and B vitamins, because one of the things that Candida also eats is your B vitamins.
Oh.
So if you are suffering from depression, it could be because you're low in B vitamins because you have Candida.
Oh my God. Wow.
See the cycle? And so and that makes you, if you're depressed, then you're going to eat more foods that are going to lead you to feed the Candida.
Yeah. Yes.
It's a great little party for these guys. Like, and once they get started, it can be really tough to get them under control. And people will they will part with pretty much anything before they will part with their sugar.
Yeah.
And it kind of doesn't matter the form. And that's sort of true across the board.
Yeah.
Like people are very they get angry, like sort of weirdly, unreasonably angry, but they're not being unreasonable. It's just not them. They're being controlled by the Candida. So the Candida seep out into, or the toxins seep out. Oh yeah. Okay. They can go anywhere. They go out through your bloodstream into all the things. And so they can get into your joints. So sometimes people think they have rheumatoid arthritis, but they actually just have Candida.
Whoa. And so what is it? It's what are they producing, something that's like sticking in your joints, or just inflammation? Or?
So it can either be just the toxins that are going out, or the actual yeast themselves.
Okay.
If they've migrated.
Yeah.
There was a knock.
Yeah.
It was very well timed.
Candida doesn't like to be spoken about when it's not in the room.
That's right.
We have a Candida office upstairs. So yeah.
In trouble again.
Yeah.
So that's one of the, so if joint pain can be associated with Candida, and it's because they're in there. And so and there's inflammation. So and when you have foreign substances in the body, then the body again goes to,
is it like an immune response?
it's immune response.
Okay.
And so that's part of Candida can create an autoimmune condition.
Right.
And that's what's happening. It's
Yes.
intruders. It's just things aren't where they're supposed to be.
And the Candida actually makes you crave it, it tells you to crave the sugar that it needs.
Yes, because one of the places it can go is your brain. Oh, God. And this is it's like being possessed.
Yeah.
It's actually like being possessed. They go into because they can break. They go into your brain, and then they start they want to be fed. So they start playing your instrument. They get to know you. I mean, they came from your gut, so they know you super well. and they make you sad. They make you think people hate you.
Yeah,
they just
whoa.
send like little signals. They make you really angry. They make you pick fights with people. Whatever is going to get them the food that they want.
Yeah.
And I think it's really interesting because they have a variety. They can be picky. How are we on time?
You about 10 minutes or so.
I'm going to skip my personal story.
Okay.
That's a longer
Yeah.
story. We'll come back to it. It's maybe another
Thank you
time.
for asking, though.
Yeah.
Candida in the brain.
Yeah.
keep
So
telling
when you
you
start to, the end of the personal story is when you start to kill them off, when they start to die off, this amazing thing happens and you start to be able to hear your own internal voice again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, especially when it comes to food cravings.
Okay, yeah.
So like your body will, instead of looking for the quick fix, and so like quick fix has a bad rap, but really if you're thinking about it as a trauma response and your body's like, oh, bad things happening, I'm going to protect you.
Yeah.
You're gonna need some energy for that.
Yeah.
Like if you're thinking about it that way, you're like, oh, okay. So the instead of static. instead of
Cravings.
craving. Oh yeah. So instead of craving the okay, for example, this isn't a perfect example, and it's not actually a Candida example, but I like it. It's women on their periods crave
Chocolate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because
Magnesium?
yes.
Oh, okay.
Right? Because your body's like, I need some magnesium. This is a food that has magnesium.
Yeah.
Also though, what did I read? I read something about how they use a Candida mold to create fermentation in cocoa to create chocolate. And I don't know if this is connected, but I
Oh.
read that and I was like, is that part of that too? Like, is that part of that weird, like
it's craving itself?
Yeah, I don't actually know the answer to
Yeah.
that, but they will eat themselves. Like
Yeah.
there's this great product called Candex that like it basically eats the wall off of the yeast because they have a double cellular wall. They have really good boundaries.
Yeah.
So like so it eats the cellular wall and then the rest of the yeast are like, yay, food. And they devour each other.
Oh,
which is
okay.
part of what's creating die-off. And
Yeah, die-off is really a serious thing, by the way,
it
too.
is. Like you get crazy migraines. But like think about it. So you're getting crazy migraines because you have Candida in your brain. I'll take the migraine, or because they're messing with your sugar levels. And so it's creating like kind of a, like that kind of
Like an
migraine.
imbalance sort of, yeah.
Or they're, triggering this, which then creates tension in your trapezius for those of you
She's
at home,
slouching.
as a shoulders thing,
Mhm.
right? And that can create tension headaches.
Oh,
So
right.
like there's like, yes, it causes migraines, but there's all of these different ways that it causes migraines. Yeah, so they
Home stretch, girl.
Home stretch. So they can adapt and they can eat all those sugars, but they can also start to adapt and eat different kinds of proteins. They're really like super smart.
Oh.
And they navigate all of these places. So like they're very, very adaptable, not just to their foods, but also to the places that they can go. And one of the places that they can go is into your epithelial cells.
Mm-hmm.
So like they get into like your skin.
Right.
And I mean, you want to talk about like sex,
Yeah.
skincare. They can like, so you have like, let's say you have a whole bunch of cells, right? A whole bunch of epithelial cells.
Epithelial cells, by the way, are the ones that they divide and multiply, divide, right?
So epithelial cells are what, yeah, essentially they're what, there's like different kinds, and they're what all of our body is made out of.
Okay, so it's renewing itself, right?
It's renewing itself. And so like there's, but it can, so like if you have a whole bunch of them together, and you have them like, so one of the kinds of epithelial cells makes your skin.
Okay.
It's part of the, it's like the outer, so skin.
Yeah, your skin. Yeah,
Skincare.
Yeah.
I'm trying. But so they can get to the cell, like by sort of going through the skin of the cell, or they can like, it's like fucking the cell. They can like penetrate the cell, or they can get in between the cells.
Oh.
Or I know, right? Like there's all of these different ways for them to get in there. And then if you have yeast that are like kind of taking up residence in your skin cells, then you end up with things like rosacea and, or not rosacea.
Oh no, like a psoriasis,
eczema.
eczema.
That's the one I was looking for. They're close.
Yeah.
No. But like that kind of thing, or like you get these like little bumps on the back of your arms, or like in this area, which is if you're looking at home, is like your cheeks, which is associated with your small intestine, which is like the first place the Candida grow.
Oh, okay. It can go into your scalp too.
It can go into your scalp, and the so many things. Like all these things I want to tell you. Yeah, and so like it can go into your scalp. Also, if you like wear hats a lot or something, if you're creating a warm, moist environment, then that's a nice place for fungus to grow.
Right.
But yes, like all of that happens, and when you have like all of this stuff happening, this tension happening, your blood circulation isn't as good.
Okay.
I mean, like, we just had all of these rains in LA, and so we have mudslides. And people are showing all this footage of like Mulholland with like, where boulders have kind of come down. And then you can't go that way. Yeah. Right? And that's right. You can't go that way. There's like stuff in the way. Or you can kind of go if you're really determined, but it starts getting clunky. Maybe you have to leave some stuff behind, like nutrients. And not as many are going to be as determined to get through. It's just, it takes more energy. It's,
Is it because of inflammation is like getting in the way?
Yeah, it's like it's inflammation. Yeah, then you get like the inflammation, you get all this, stuff, and things grow in there.
Yeah.
Right, so things are growing. I want to tie it back to lymph there, but I'm not going to. Okay. Painful. So it's so then it can create all of this like havoc on your skin and your hair. Right. And so you don't have circulation up here. And so the hair can't grow if it's not getting and the top of the head in particular is like one of the hardest places to get blood to flow to.
Which is where my thing is.
Yeah.
I have seborrheic dermatitis that has like a place where there's hair that's missing, and it comes after stress.
So wait, here's a really cool thing. So like this area, right? It's like kind of
it's like right here.
Yeah, it's like the top back, right?
It's like almost like right past. It's from where I'm looking into the center, not from the center back. It's this front part.
Oh, that's a different place.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. So like, and I have to look at that.
Yeah, it's like a line here and a line here, and then there's hair in the middle right now. So it's in the process of growing back.
It's like a mohawk.
Yeah, a little bit.
I saw the fiercest mohawk at like Whole Foods. It was like a real one. It was beautiful. God. There was different colors. I have to look up for specifically this part, but like back here, this is the part of the brain it's parietal lobe that has to do with like sensory, like feeling and stuff. So if your body is deadening your feelings because you're keeping it in that like sort of long-term stress state,
Mm-hmm.
like it starts like that's the part of the brain that dulls that. And
Yeah.
I feel like there's something about like the, you know, so you're not sending blood there.
Yeah.
Because your body's like, oh, we don't need that. We don't need as much to be going on in this connection place.
Yeah.
And so I think that has something to do with that as well. That's more theoretical, but the let's see,
Yeah.
that's something I made up that I think is true.
Yeah.
But it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
as
it
far as
does.
where that goes, and like why that spot,
Mhm.
which is where most people, if they start balding, it's
Mhm.
going to be like kind of or in this.
Okay,
this
gotcha.
area. I'm not sure about.
Well,
that.
doesn't trauma affect the frontal lobe?
Yeah. So your frontal lobe. Yeah. So like your frontal lobe.
And that's right there.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
There you go. So thank you.
You're welcome.
amazing.
Yeah.
So like your frontal lobe is what goes online if you're overriding that trauma response, right? This is like the it's where you're parasympathetic enough, where you're safe enough that you can be making higher level choices.
Mhm.
And I don't mean like higher level in a like these over these, but like that are past or that are including more information than just I need to get away from this predator survival mode,
Okay.
or like I need to keep my species going mode, like that past basic needs.
Yeah.
You know, like when we start to think about things that are more complex than
Right.
that. But you can't deal with any of that if you're like your resources are depleted, if you have like if you're constantly under attack, and you know you've got the Candida that are like stripping, and so like the one of the things that sugar does is it leaches nutrients out of the food. So like your body's like you end up with malabsorption issues, and like everything kind of goes downhill, which also affects your skin.
Yeah.
I'm trying to loop back around.
Yeah.
But that's condensed. How do we do on time? Is that
That we're there.
Ish.
Yeah. Ish. Yeah. Do you have more to tie to this before do you feel satisfied, or do you have something else you want to?
We're definitely gonna need a part 3.
Oh, for
and
sure. There's
4
part
and
3.
5.
Yeah.
Well, we can bring it back to the lymph. Like
Okay.
that's what I'm taking a some sort of like carving knife and like going, okay, we can't talk about that because it's going to be too long.
Yeah.
And but I think that's sort of like the gist of
That is, I'm satisfied with what you just told me, because it really does make so much sense. And I think a lot of people who are listening or watching, they're going to realize that like, oh my God, I have this thing. I have a rash. I have something going on. I'm bloated. I have brain fog.
Yeah.
And they're finally going to put together that like they've got this system of Candida it's taking over now. It's got too many and it's causing all these different things. And then stress, like you said, adding stress every single day, and your posture and the way that you deal with things. And it all adds up to giving life to Candida. And so do you know how to get rid of it? Because if you do, that's what part 3 I think will be about.
We'll do part 3 on how to get rid of it.
Okay.
But I would say this, like, if you should always check with a doctor, and
yes, thank you for saying that. Yeah.
But if this is something you suspect, or like you've struggled with like sugar stuff, don't beat yourself up about it, because that raises your cortisol levels, which feeds them.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So consider finding a proactive, like an acceptance, like this is what this is. It's not about denial and like sending yay.
Yeah.
But like, okay, well, if this is true, then whatever that is for you. So like, then, maybe I'm just observing. Maybe I'm going, okay, I'm noticing this pattern here. Like when I eat these things, I'm an asshole the next day. When I'm sad, this is what I'm reaching for. When I'm this is what I'm doing. Like just, I would start to notice patterns.
Yeah.
And then keep in the back of your head that this is like, although we want to keep them in check, like, and they're wonderful and they're good, and keep telling them they're good, right?
Yeah.
We want them to.
We do villainize them.
We do. And they, you can see like they didn't do anything they weren't programmed to do.
We're just overfeeding them.
We're overfeeding them, or stress, causes like we don't know what triggered them.
Right.
And so just like, when we're triggered,
Even our fucking Candida can be triggered.
yes, yes. Well, they're just like us. So like all the parts of the body,
Mhm.
they're just like us, but like the small, sweet version of us that we want to, like the what is it, the little kid, inner child. I'm fine. The little kid, like they're traumatized. So we want to come at them from love
Mhm.
and support and giving them a way out. And even if we don't know what it is yet,
Yeah.
then just kind of sitting with them being like, okay, well, what's happening here? Like, what is happening in my body? How is my body interpreting the world around me and making choices for me in my best interest? Because
Mhm.
it's always trying in my best interest. So like, what is it actually trying to do? And like start the conversation. And keep in mind that once they get out, though, they're like, like the gremlins. They're cute until you feed them after midnight, and then they like, grow teeth and attack. And so they're invaders. And so when you do go to kill them, show no mercy, because you're being invaded. It's literally like being invaded. And so when you're making your food choices, like when you get to the place where you're making your food choices, consider, who am I feeding today?
Oh, wow.
Am I feeding them or am I feeding me? And there's no wrong choices,
Mhm.
but notice what happens
Right.
depending on who gets fed. It's like the what is it? The positive monster and the negative monster.
like
but they're
the-
like what is it? It depends on which dog you feed that gets.
The devil and the
Is it
the
devil and the angel?
Oh, yeah.
But there's
Yeah.
some metaphor.
Oh, wait.
Starsky and Hutch.
Yeah, I'm ending
That's what it
strong
was.
here.
That
But
was
the
it.
thing about like it's whatever one you feed is the
Uh-huh.
one that grows.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's just life in general.
That's life
Whatever
in
you
general.
feed is what's going to grow.
Mhm.
Interesting.
So if you choose like heavy nutrient, like dark green leafy vegetables, like think about what you're feeding. Be mindful about what you're eating
Yeah.
without judgment. Just be mindful about what you're putting in, and then what happens to you. Take notes.
Well, this is a great
Yeah.
start, and this is a great way to let people know to use their intuition,
Mm-hmm.
and which is really important.
Body never lies.
It's true. The body never lies. It can't.
It
I wish it
can't.
would, but it can't.
No, but you don't want it to lie.
I know.
It's like it's so. I mean, it's telling you hard truths, but like it loves you.
Yeah.
It loves you more than anybody because it needs you for survival.
That's what I love about you too, Sue, is that that your take on that is just that it's like all this stuff that you might consider to be really bad is actually your body taking care of you, and that it's beautiful and to appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's ill-informed or like it's
Overfed or whatever
yeah.
it is. Yeah. But it's doing its best.
It's doing its best
and doing what it's supposed to do.
Yeah. And so if we help it
Yeah.
instead of punishing it.
Yes, exactly.
Then-
Thank it, help it, and then instead of like
Yeah.
talking shit.
Yeah. No shit talk.
No shit talk. Well, thank you so much for coming back.
Thank you for having me.
Now, see this. She keeps doing this. She's doing this so that she has to come back. So you will be back.
Yay.
So I'm so glad that we got to talk about this, and this is going to be such an interesting episode for people to listen to. So I'm looking forward to you coming back, and I think that's it, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and all that stuff, and
Thanks.
follow Sue Gisser. Where are you?
I'm on Instagram, and it's my name. It's so boring. It's at Sue Gisser.
Perfect. All
That's
right.
me.
That's perfect.
Yes.
Okay,
Let's go
all
get
right.
some ice cream.
Ice
Oh,
cream.
yeah.
Yes.